A male killer whale will never leave its mother's side over its lifetime. It'll stay within about a body's length its entire life. Unless the pod starts beating on it, then it'll just stay out on the outside of the pod for a while. At least they have that luxury of escape, whereas in captivity, males get the shit kicked out of them. They're big puppy dogs. Big male orcas. I mean, yeah, okay, they're murderous and they're killing people, but they're actually big puppy dogs. I've always felt so bad for Candy. We had this big male, beautiful big bull male. He was rocked. His existence of having been pulled from his mother. And this really largely explains why Tilikum went off. You ruin their lives. That's over. I mean, their raison d'etre, the reason they live.
Remember, too. They remember their mother.
That. Yeah.
Fuck, man. It's just, why do we allow this? It seems to me like almost a form of slavery. I mean, I don't want to diminish the horrors of human slavery, because in human slavery, at least there's no question whatsoever that that's a human.
And there's communication.
Yeah, so it's as awful as it gets. But goddamn, put the ignorance aside, the slavery of killer whales is like really close. It's really close.
The only way to get them to work effectively and efficiently is to keep them hungry.
Ugh.
Drug them and keep them hungry. So... yeah, it's
Man.
brutal, man.
How is it still legal? I mean, isn't SeaWorld, aren't they expanding? Didn't they just make a bigger pool for the killer whales? Like, well, we're so nice to our killer whales, we gave them a bigger cage.
Yeah, so what they've done is they've tried to repackage the show as, we're not doing the big dynamic show, but they really still are. They're like, we're just showing natural behaviors, which is...
Bitch, we want natural behavior. Let them go fuck up a
yeah,
whale.
No shit. They put like a backdrop of a couple trees or some shit. Like, all right, new show. Hey, SeaWorld, there's a lot of crazy shit going on. I mean, in California, SeaWorld promised to stop banning, or rather, they promised to stop breeding the killer whales.
Right.
But these fucking promises, do not believe for a moment that they're like some type of responsible corporate citizens that's going to hold on to this thing. It's bullshit. And so
they're an entity, a business entity. They're trying to make money.
And so what California did was they went out and banned it. So in California, you can't breed orcas, import-export issues, all that. But in Florida... So again, SeaWorld makes the promise. They had an Orca Protection Act that they were looking to do exactly like California. They were going to make it concrete, pass the law that way SeaWorld can't just backpedal on it down the road, which everyone suspects they will. SeaWorld is lobbying like fucking crazy, and just last week successfully defeated the bill again. They're putting a lot of effort.
SeaWorld is trying to defeat a bill that...
No, they successfully defeated multiple times, including just last week.
That allows them, or the bill would keep them from breeding these animals in captivity. So they're fighting against that.
Yeah. Successfully fighting. It's over.
They're doing it in Florida.
Yeah.
While they're pretending in California that they don't want to breed them.
Well, no, in California, they actually passed the law. The state itself passed the law. In Florida, it was defeated repeatedly, and now one last time.
So they're trying. They're trying to breed animals in captivity, and if they do breed them in Florida, they'll be able to ship them to California.
To China. So that's where the demand is right now. And in fact, SeaWorld was just bought by a large Chinese corporation. They just named one of the guys to the SeaWorld board. And so what people, I mean, it's safe to assume that this is exactly what's happening. Is SeaWorld is planning their exit strategy, and they're going to start sending their orcas to China.
Oh, Jesus
Where that's
Christ.
a booming industry right now. In fact, killer whale captivity is like, if you can get and it's all coming out of Russia, right? Still, but.
And so they're still capturing them in the wild.
Yep. In China, it's a burgeoning, booming industry.
Man,
44 ocean theme parks in China right now.
Jesus,
they're building them like
Christ.
crazy.
How many of them are in the United States?
How many aquariums?
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't say for sure. I was actually surprised to read there's like 300 and something dolphins in captivity in the States. I think that was the number I saw. I didn't realize that it was that big. I had no idea that there was that many in captivity in the States.
It just seems to be such an archaic thing. And I can't imagine that the United States wants to keep doing that. The fact that SeaWorld is trying to keep doing that in Florida, and that they've successfully lobbied to allow them to keep breeding these animals in captivity. But you can't... Once you have them in captivity for a long time, say if SeaWorld wanted to release them, they can't really release them.
There's nowhere to release them. And that's what's being worked on now. There's a project called the Whale Sanctuary Project, and I suspect there'll be a fairly large announcement soon. I believe they'll be looking at a location in Canada, and they're going to build this thing. There will be a place for them, which is a great place to do it because
So how would they do that?
Well, you go coastal, of course. I mean, you got to be in the ocean. You're going to pen off an area. There's lots of things to consider. You got to make sure there's a lot of water changes, a lot of different things because you can't keep the animal in something that's going to stagnate. And
Keep them in it. So it's going to be some sort of a cage?
Yeah, assume a fence of sorts around, maybe like a fjord. I mean, it wouldn't be a fjord if it's in Canada, but like just
They
imagine.
can jump.
I imagine that they'll make certain that that's not going to be the case, but well, they can. I've seen dolphins jump out of the pool. That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. I got rushed in one morning to got called in because a dolphin jumped out of the pool. Holy shit! I mean, that's a wake up call when you get there and you see this thing flopping around, and you're like, Jesus Christ! And
What do you do?
Well, you get the sling together first off. There's we have these different slings and things that to move these dolphins. So I was alone.
How much does a dolphin weigh?
Yeah, like 500 pounds, 600 pounds in this case. She was a decent sized female. So I went and grabbed a kid out in a ticket booth or some shit because it was too early in the morning. I had no staff there. Rush him in. I'm like, dude, I got two guys. I'm like, we got to get this dolphin. And these guys, I mean, if you've never done that before, your jaw's on the floor.
Right.
I fucking had these two steel poles on my shoulders, dolphin in the sling, lifting her up. I swear to you, man, my back went backwards like this. It was the heaviest thing I'd ever carried, but we got her back in. It was crazy. But yeah, jumped out of the pool. It was crazy. In fact, there was a time in the summer I remember where one of our dolphins was teetering on the edge. What she would do is they're always spy hopping like this, looking over the edge at the crowd.
Explain that to people that are just listening. Because a lot of people are just listening.
So imagine there's like a short wall, something that they can look over. So they're sort of spy hopping. They're spying up to look.
Okay.
One of our dolphins learned that she can actually jump up on the ledge and balance. Now she was on that's like an 8-foot drop to the concrete on the other side of this pool. She's up there posing. I'm hearing the crowd. I'm backstage. I hear the crowd going crazy. I'm like, what is this? I go out there. She's having fun doing this. Holy shit. That's the dolphin that jumped out. So what we did was I said, we got to take her out of this pool. We took her out, put her in the back pool where no one would see her, of course. And that's the next day she actually jumped. So she'd be dead today if we hadn't moved her. Oh. Then, of course, all Marineland did was put up like more obstruction things to keep them in the pool. So
now, when you find her outside of the pool, how long had she been outside for?
She was still wet, so it wasn't so bad. But one dolphin we found her that she got stuck on the stage overnight, and when we got there, her skin had become so dry that it was starting to crack. It was kind of fucked up. She actually has this permanent scar from
her
having
skin
dried
out.
Yeah, and a chunk come out. When I don't know what she was probably thrashing.
Now, are you talking to her when you find her? Do you try to comfort her? Like,
I mean, yeah, sure. I'm hugging her and everything else.
But does she calm down when she realizes people are trying to help her? Like, are they aware of what's going on, or is she in a panic?
They always fight. If they don't want to, I mean, this particular dolphin was a fighter. Every time we ever tried to put her in a sling and move her. I mean, one time, I can go back in memories and I can remember my thoughts during these times. And we had her in a sling hovering over the pool. And the way the sling is you've got two holes in the sling where the pecs go in, right? The pectoral fins. Mm-hmm. And then one where the genital slit is. So if they shit, it doesn't wind up stuck in the sling. And then you've got a crane atop. So now you've got this thing lifted over the pool. Well, she's fighting like crazy. And we can see that there's a tear in the sling. As she's fighting, we get her. The crane just gets her over the pool. The sling rips. She's plunked into the pool. Holy shit, man! And we've slinged out like 15,000 pound or 10,000 pound killer whales over like 30, 40 feet in the air. Imagine one of those fucking drops. Oh my god! So that was sort of a wake up call.
Wow.
Yeah, archaic procedures, man. Moving these things, the things that, especially at a place like Marineland. Marineland, when you step through the doors, and hopefully you don't, but if you do, it's like you've gone back to the 70s.
Now, has any of this hurt their business?
Attendance is abysmal over there. They're crushed. I live right. I watch the sun set over Marineland from my front yard. It's a beautiful sight. I drive by, of course, just about every day. Their attendance is rocked. And Niagara Falls, which is where Marineland is booming. The tourism is through the roof. It's shoulder to shoulder over there, and Marineland's seeing none of it.
And you think it's because people know about the conditions there?
Oh, absolutely. I got a lot of support in the local community. Like, people know exactly what's going on. Tourists, it's a little more difficult, and Niagara Falls welcomes millions of them, so you're going to get a fraction of that, but it is a fraction. Marineland is not benefiting from the booming tourism. They're on their way out. They're on a clock for sure. For sure. I'd be shocked to hear them opening in 2019. I'm not going to make that prediction, but I would be shocked. It's that bad. But to be fair, there's no investors at Marineland. It's one sole controlling mind owner who started with nothing. He started with $2,000, built this thing. He is indebted to nobody. He's cash rich, of course, and he's got a lot of fuck you money and not a lot of time, so he's out to fuck shit up. I wouldn't be surprised to...
Not a lot of time in life, you mean?
He's like 84 years old now. Yeah. And so I wouldn't be surprised to think that he's rationalized in his mind to just fucking sewer this thing, like, destroy all our lives for having spoken out, but just tank the park in the process. Fuck it.
Wow.
Yeah, he's very defiant. He's a very paranoid and defiant man. And so, you know, at 84 years old, what else does he have left to accomplish, I guess?
So you were saying they had 50 beluga whales?
50 plus, maybe even 60 at this point.
The beluga whales are huge.
Yeah.
What does a big one weigh?
I don't know if we ever actually weighed our big males.
If you had to guess.
Like 4,000 pounds, maybe 5.
You got 50 of those?
50 of them, yeah.
That's insane.
Try catching one.
Oh, I don't want to try.
I used to get tasked with, here's your scuba gear. Here's a net the size of a football field. Go catch that beluga whale. So me and my buddies would be like, okay, here we go. Oh, dude, it really would be amazing to be able to capture the things we've done on video.
Can you recognize the difference in intelligence between killer whales, dolphins, beluga whales?
Absolutely, yeah. Dolphins and killer whales are like remarkably similar. Just cunning, smart. You turn your back and they're pickpocketing you. I mean, they are just, and they're brats, and I love brats. I mean, they just are bratty animals.
They're having fun.
They're fucking with you. They like to make things difficult. If they know how to frustrate you, they're going to exercise that. So it's always a mental game, right?
Okay.
Especially when you're dealing with animals, training with animals. Beluga whales are really timid. So like, you know, they call them the canaries of the sea because they're kind of skittish. So I don't know if that's a reflection of their intelligence necessarily, but I would call them like maybe a hint more dum-dum than than the next one, right? But you know, they're more scared shitless of you than not. You know, belugas. They don't really want it. They don't want to be.
But they're not as smart as dolphins, or
no. I wouldn't say so. I mean,
but they're intelligent wrong of me in some way. In some way, intelligent. Yeah.
They're sort of sitting ducks out there, belugas. I just mean like in the whale world.
The whales respond. They respond to verbal commands.
Yeah, so in the case of pinnipeds, absolutely. So seals,
What's
sea lions.
What's a pinniped?
Yeah, walruses, seals, sea lions.
They respond to verbal
absolutely,
commands.
Absolutely. Whales, I couldn't say for sure in my experience that was the case. However, in the case of just that announcement last week of that animal mimicking the human sounds, it means she hears them. So if you can hear, if the animal can hear you, you can definitely create a cue of sorts to, you know, to trigger a behavior or trick. So
it's possible that they could know some of our language.
I don't know that they could
or recognize some commands. Yeah.
I wonder.
No, we know that they have dialects, right? But we don't know anything that they're saying, right?
No. And that's what's interesting is, I mean, I sort of beat myself up wondering if, in fact, they're using a language that is to be interpreted as words, sentences, versus sounds that mean things. I guess maybe that's the same thing.
But I know what you're saying.
It's not something that's necessarily decipherable. You know when a dog's pissed because they growl. A growl is different than a bark. Barks are, you know,
right.
But barks aren't necessarily words, and if they are, maybe they're fuck you. I don't know. But
I was listening to this thing about monkeys. I think it was Steven Pinker's book, where they were talking about, it was an audiobook, they were talking about how monkeys have differentiated the sound that they make if there is a tiger versus a sound that they make if there's an eagle.
Anytime I'm walking around and I hear a squirrel in a tree making a certain sound, I know there's a cat in the vicinity. It's probably one of mine.
But they have a language, like a very crude language, but what they've done is taken the sound of an eagle and they play it near monkeys, and the monkeys look up.
Of course, yeah.
And they play the sound of a monkey trying to alert the fact that there's a tiger in the area, and the monkeys run up trees.
Yeah, and start looking down.
Yeah. It's really interesting because, like, they have a few sounds that they can repeat, and they know for a fact that these monkeys know what they're talking about. And monkeys even play jokes.
That's a language,
on each
man.
other. They play jokes on each other. Like if one monkey wanted a banana, he would say, "Hey, man, there's a fucking eagle here," and the monkey would run up the tree, and he would get the banana. Like they lie to each other. It's pretty fascinating.
Makes doing fucked up things to them that much worse, right?
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
You mean monkeys? I mean, we know that they're intelligent, but they got a little tiny brain, little tiny ass head, little tiny brain, you know. But
that's all they need.
Orca's brain, they're giant. These are huge, enormous brains. Dolphins' brains are huge. Dolphin brains are way bigger than ours.
You want to hear a fucked up story? I think
Sure.
you do. I had to dig up a dead killer whale to extract a portion of its brain that we missed during a necropsy.
You had to dig it up?
Yeah.
It was in the ground?
Yeah.
It was in the ground?
Yeah. He had been buried for like 10 days, too.
Whoa.
Oh, dude.
How'd he die?
I can't remember how Candu died exactly, but he died like pretty young. I can't remember exactly what the final. We never got that information as trainers. You sort of were always told, oh, it was, you know, it's always meningitis. Oh, he died of meningitis. Or they would say, oh, twisted intestine or something. They always came up with things that you just, it kept you asking questions rather than feeling like anything was ever conclusive in that regard. But in this particular case, the vet had pulled me aside and said, okay, I got to ask you something fucked up. Can you go get 2 people, suit them up? We got to go get a piece of the brain we missed of Candy. I'm just like, I can't possibly impose upon someone to do that. I can't.
How deep had it been buried?
Like, it's about 6 to 8 feet. He was...
And you can just do that in the yard? They allow you to just bury it in the yard?
Marineland has mass graves in the back. Oh. In the exact place that they're claiming development now, which I've got some overhead shots. They've actually like paving roads pretty close to it, to where the bodies are buried.
And how many different things do you think are buried
Thousands.
back there? What?
Thousands. I mean, just in deer alone, forget about it. I mean, Marineland breeds more deer, and
why do they breed deer?
He's got a whole park of animals, different animals. That's where the animal cruelty charges stem from. Was not marine mammals, because there's no laws protecting them. So they continue to live in a void of protection. But the deers, the bears.
There's no laws in Canada.
In Canada. Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Yet it's coming, man. I know I've been talking about this for 5 years. We're almost there, but I'm up against the fucking wall.
How long ago did you first come on here?
2013 was my first time here. Yeah, so that would have been 4 years ago.
So they have thousands of graves in the back?
Thousands of animals in large graves. So there's a big hole, for instance. There's a big hole for the deer. They're all going in there. The big deer, the bear.
Why don't they just
bison.
eat them?
He used to back in Christmas, back in the day when the owner used to host Christmas parties. He'd go back and slaughter a bison and then feed burgers and make food out of it and stuff. And they used to do that. They don't do it no more. They actually used to be called Marineland something and game farm. And by being a farm or classified as a farm, he was actually able to kill and produce food. Right. So that's something I've been told that happened.
Now, why did they kill deer back there?
Why did he kill?
He throw them into a hole.
Well, I mean, a lot of them die because they're gross. First off, when you got 500 deer in a pen that's like disgusting, they're not all going to get to eat. Some of them are going to get injured. These things happen. So at night, what would happen is, someone, let's say, would drive around in his truck, point the gun out the window and just go on these shooting sprees, wiping out these animals. In the morning, the land animal care guys would show up and they'd be like, okay, go pick up the bodies. And these poor kids.
So would he do it for a goof, or would he do it because he's trying to thin the population because there's too many of them?
Oh no, it wouldn't be anything like that. Well, in one case, once the investigation came out in 2012, which revealed, of course, abuse with land animals as well, they went on a culling spree, if you will, where they got rid of some of the uglier, sort of less healthy animals. It's funny because Marineland actually breeds the more beautiful deer off-site. The more beautiful animals that they have are not on display. They're actually back there breeding out of display. That's where the 2 dogs, I don't know if you recall, when the owner shot those 2 labs, beautiful little Labrador dogs, went running up and down the fence across from Marineland's owner's house, which is where the off-site pen is, where he breeds the animals. And that's where he decided, I'm not calling anyone to come get these animals. Fuck, dude, this story is so heartbreaking. He just pulls out a shotgun, kills one. The other one cowers because there was a witness. Of course, the witness never identified themselves. They didn't want to be sued. And then he shoots the other one. And then he tells a land animal care supervisor, he says, take the collars off the dogs, go bury them in the pit. I was there that day. I heard the gunshots. I was there when the vet got the phone call, and she's like, oh my God, okay. She hangs up, she looks at me, she goes, John just killed 2 dogs. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Dogs that you can go, hey, go back home. Puppies, dude. They were beautiful dogs. There was a video. It's since been taken down on the Toronto Star website. A lot of the videos are gone. A lot of things are happening now on account of these lawsuits and further down the road that we've gone where things are starting to disappear. There was a very powerful historical website about Marineland and some of the owners' history. And, these things are gone now. They're gone. I mean, I can't allege as to why or what agreements or if there are agreements. I can't go down that road to suggest. I don't know. But a lot of these resources that were very powerful are gone and disappearing now.
So this Marineland has this giant yard, right? Like, how many acres are you talking about where there's thousands of animals buried?
I mean, the park is massive. There's probably 3 times undeveloped land versus what's developed there, and it's a big park. It's sort of barren. There's not a lot of things. There's rides, and you got to walk a mile in between them. But nonetheless, the owner, what he liked to do was sort of acquire a lot of land over his lifetime. That was his thing. He owns half of Niagara Falls. I got to watch where the hell I step, because at any given point, if I'm on their land, I'm getting charged with trespassing, whether I like it or not. In fact, the city of Niagara Falls leased land to Marineland to keep protesters off of their site, which is absolute bullshit. And if anyone's listening from city council, I hope you do, you got to fix that, because that's some horse shit right there, man. You guys have been pandering to Marineland for too long. I mean, to keep us from being able to protest, that's horse shit. Sorry.
Now, why do you think that is? Because they just don't want to get sued?
There was a time when Marineland and owner were called like the king of Niagara. That was it. Marineland was atop the hill. There was the falls came second to Marineland. Or at least Marineland played this idea that people came to Niagara Falls. They would see the falls. They'd look at them for 10 minutes, and then they would have no reason to stay. They were saying they're bringing all this business because people are now going to hotels, going to restaurants, and then going to Marineland the next day.
And when did this change?
When did Marineland go to shit?
Yeah.
2012.
So right when you left. So before then, was this thriving thing and just nobody knew about the conditions? That's what it was?
People were ignorant, of course. Well, people wouldn't have known. Who's going to talk? It's not new for Marineland's owner or Marineland, the corporation, to sue people for speaking out. They did it before. And successfully, not in the sense that there was any judgment, but successfully in that the people that spoke had to pay a horrible price. And, essentially got silenced. So no one wants to speak out against that. No, I don't blame them. I get it. I mean, I'm eating it now. It's been 5 years. 5 years of every day waking up wondering if this is the fucking one where you're done,
So you've been embroiled in these lawsuits for 5 years
5
now.
years. They sued me on Valentine's Day of 2013, yeah.
And nothing's been resolved?
The only way that there could be a resolve at this point is if I were to sign a document, and I'm assuming at this point, because Marineland sent nothing in terms of any type of agreement, but, down the road, their objective is to shut me up. They want to wipe out the last 20 years of my life. They don't want me to open my mouth about anything, of course, in the last 5 years, and then the 12 prior, when I sort of revealed everything that was going on. They're trying to shut me up. They want an injunction, a permanent injunction, I assume they would, that to keep me from being able to go to the park. Well, this becomes very conflicting for me because they have my walrus sort of hostage there, and I do dream of a day of being reunited with her, and I imagine that would have to take place on Marineland property someday. So it's really, I'm not prepared to sign anything. In fact, I told my lawyer just last week, it's a non-starter, and I'll remind Marineland now, non-starter. They'll never shut me up. I'm not signing it. I'll have to eat shit forever, but I'm not going to sign it.
So where do you anticipate this all going? I mean, you've been in a prolonged legal battle for 5 years now. Where do you anticipate this going? And
so in April, so the last time I was here 2 years ago, I solicited some help, resources, to be able to pursue Marineland's owner, in that I want him to be examined in court, much like I have. In the same capacity that I had to forfeit all of my communications, I want the same for the corporation, and I want to examine Marineland's owner as representative. This proved very difficult. It took, we got the order only just last April to examine him. We won the order. And since then, we've tried multiple times to schedule. Now, we're almost at a year now of trying to schedule this man to come in for examinations, and he's not shown up a couple times now. And so at some point, if Marineland doesn't want the facts out there, and that's what I'm pursuing, I want the facts out there, they're going to have to settle. And so how that ends with me, I don't know. I'm not looking for money. I could give a shit about trying to get rich in this thing.
Are you trying to sue them for money, though?
I'm suing them, yeah, but it's
how much?
Well, numbers don't matter, but it's like $1.5 million or something. They defamed the shit out of me, let's be honest. It's pretty absurd. But again...
So would the $1.5 million be...
I'll never get it. I'll never see it.
But would it be predicated on you would have to shut your mouth?
If it wasn't something that went... If it wasn't a judgment that the judge made, for instance. If we went to trial, the judge makes their decision then. Mm-hmm. If we settle beforehand, it's because everyone wants to wash their hands and walk away. Marineland's not going to wash their hands of me unless, I feel, unless I've got them properly cornered. The only way they want to get me is... Well, of course, they want to ruin me, right?
How could you properly corner them? Like, what would be...
Well, if Marineland's owners missed a couple examinations now, how many until I can go in and actually file a motion to have the entire statement of claim dismissed? Well, the fact is, pretty soon. So my objective is to go and get this lawsuit thrown out, at which point they've only got I've got the counterclaim for them to work with. They're not suing me no more. Now who's got the upper hand? That's my dream, of course.
That's your dream. But if that doesn't happen... I mean, it seems like 5 years is a long time to be in a prolonged legal battle. Like, at what point in time does it become so absurd that the court throws it out? So it just happened now. It's actually a new rule that as of February 2018, any lawsuit that hasn't been scheduled for
for trial was administratively dismissed. It's a new law. And so, but that doesn't affect mine, unfortunately, because we actually fought to get a case management judge on our case, on my case, because, like I said, Marineland's acting the fool. I can't seem to get in front of a judge. Everything's joking around. So we went and won that. Again, it took a long time. You know what's the crazy thing about these lawsuits, and I see now, of course, in 2012 I was a lot more naive, but all of the wins that I get in court cost me. So, for instance, I defend a motion against Marineland. It costs me $7,500. The judge says, okay, Phil wins this round. Let's give him some money back on a partial indemnity. He gets $3,500 back. Still just cost me $4,000. Marineland's owner misses an examination, as an example. I've got to get what's called a certificate of non-attendance. I got to send a lawyer, $1,200. So
And how is all this funded now?
Oh, I have a public GoFundMe, of course. I've had several.
And how do people, if they want to donate, because I'm sure a lot of people listening to this like, fuck this, man, I got to help this guy.
SaveSmooshy.com. I've got my documentary on there, which I'd like to touch on a little bit. It's great. Have you had a chance to look at it, watch
No.
it? Okay, well, if you manage to, it's good. These kids from Ryerson University did it. The brave kids. And how I know it's a very effective documentary is that Marineland didn't sue them.